welcome everyone. We don't just have students from India right now, but we also have a lot of students from Dubai. So we're really glad to have you all here. Mr. Hans holds an MBA from Manchester Business School. Prior to finding Bevrabia in 2016, he worked as an investment banker. So he has had ample years of experience in investment banking. In his last job assignment with Arab National Bank, he worked on several large projects and transactions in Saudi Arabia. Mrs. Anamika Hans, on the other hand, holds an engineering degree. Prior to finding Bevrabia, prior to being into Bevrabia, Mrs. Hans had worked in operations and project management with companies such as Capgemini and Barclays Bank in the UK. So today, the panel members that we have in here and the idea of having so many students from across the countries is also important to understand that we are getting a very global exposure. We are getting an insight about the global exposure right now. So they've not just completed their degrees in India, they also have a brief exposure in the UK. They also have brief exposure, in fact, a lot of exposure now in Saudi Arabia. So I think being able to understand the cultures, being able to connect with so many people, and being able to live in different countries certainly adds to a lot of insight and experiences. Hello, how are you doing?
Excellent. Thank you, Bhumika.
Thank you.
Thank you for coming here. And let's start with the question straight away. So, my first question to the both of you, and I'm sure a lot of people would be intrigued about this. What inspired you to become entrepreneurs? You both had a lifestyle which I assume was a pretty comfortable one. And especially having an investment job, which we all assume pays pretty well. So, what made, and I'm sure it must be very lucrative at the same time. So, what made you take the risk of stepping out of that comfort zone and begin with your journey?
Sure.
This is the question for the both of you.
You want to start? Okay. Before I start there, I think the picture you've used is 10 years old, and you can see the physical transformation that entrepreneurship carries on you. So I hope people don't get a wrong message from that.
Yeah, totally.
Answering your question, entrepreneurship has always been an end goal for us. We always wanted to set up our own business. Even before our MBA, that was the ambition. We were just waiting for the right time and the right place where we could start our own business. It so happened that we were in Saudi Arabia at that time when we started the business. Why the decision? Because when you're in a job, you have a certain career path, and you can see where, or you can envisage where it takes you. Do I really want to be there? You have to make a judgment, and based on that, you take a call at that particular stage. And then you also feel if you are underutilized in your particular job that you are doing at a particular stage, can you do much more? Can you do better? Of course, if the answer is yes, then you're not in the right place. Then you have to take a call and you jump into something of your own. So these are the premises that we were going through at the time we took a decision. Yes, we were comfortable in the investment banking job, but the dream was much more bigger, which we are following now.
Yes, and we always believed we made a very good team, since we are very complementary in our behavior, in our nature. So we made a really good team, and we believe we could bring that team spirit and make that work in our business. So that's how we started. We moved to Dubai, set up part of our business in Dubai, and half still remains in Saudi. And it's the satisfaction at the end of the day when you achieve your goals, when you hit your targets, when you have something new and exciting to look forward to. So that is when you feel that maybe my job would not give me all that excitement, that satisfaction. So given an option, going back to the job or staying in the business with a lot of challenges, I guess we would prefer to stay in the business.
Any day.
That's amazing. That's amazing. I think a lot of you might have read this theory, Maslow's theory of hierarchy. So where you sense of see that achievement not coming in despite the fact that you're earning enough, despite the fact that you have a very comfortable lifestyle, and you only see that sense of achievement and that sense of satisfaction where you are going beyond your comfort zone and aspiring for what you've always loved to do. So I think that's what maybe is the crux of what you're probably trying to tell us.
Absolutely.
Yes.
Okay. So next question goes with the both of you. I'm again pretty sure that, from the outside, everybody thinks, wow, entrepreneurship is so fancy, entrepreneurship is so cool. I am a startup entrepreneur, I have my own venture. However, first of all, can we break this down for all the students out there? Ki entrepreneurship hota kya hai? Number one. And second, what, according to you, are the pros and cons of entrepreneurship? Or rather, tell us that how has your journey been so far? We know it's not that easy as we all think. So we'd love to understand that if you people pour your hearts out as to how your journey's been, we definitely love to listen to that.
See, so entrepreneurship is setting yourself a goal of what you
Mhm.
want to do. It
Mhm.
can be anything small or anything big. So it's when you have made up your mind, and you have set up the basic, you have done your basic research. That is very important. When you want to start a new venture, you need to do your research, try and understand all the ins and outs of what you're getting into. That is
Mhm.
really, really important. You have to network, you have to meet people who have already done that or have done something similar. So
Mhm.
that is something you which is very, very important. Then secondly, you have to be the life of an entrepreneur is going to be really busy. So you have to mentally prepare yourself that you are not going to have a lot of free time, especially in the beginning. You're not going to have a weekend where you can just shut off your laptop and forget about it. No, that's not going to happen, because when you
Mhm.
start something, a small business or a startup, you will be doing even the small things like paying a bill to make taking up the big decisions by yourself. And there is lots of things to be done. If you're doing it alone, then you do everything. You have a partner, you share your responsibilities, and then you have to be very flexible with your schedules. It's day or night, you don't see the time. When something needs to be done. And
Totally.
there are sacrifices as well, and there are small pleasures when you meet your small target and you do something which makes you really feel proud. Then it's really, really rewarding.
Yeah, absolutely.
Totally.
I think, as Anamika mentioned, it's a learning experience every single day. Every day is different, and it looks very fancy being an entrepreneur from outside, but it's a challenge because you have to grow on all directions, not just vertical direction. You have to grow in all directions, and you have to be persistent. The key is you need to evolve yourself with time. You need to adapt yourself to the situation. For example, we are in the middle of Corona situation. How you react to the situation, how you react to the daily needs, how you react to the employees you hire, how you react to the customers, how you react to the suppliers. So you need to learn all these processes as you develop as an entrepreneur, and then you need to be very, very adaptable to be able to to be able to succeed in this environment.
Right, right. I totally agree to it. And while I was just looking at that, the T-shirt that you're right now wearing, and it says Beverabia. So I also got I just got a chat wherein somebody tells us, I wanted to share with you all my experience of having worked with the Beverabia team in Dubai. I've loved their coffee and had an opportunity of introducing their barista team who had made wonderful coffee for our frontline officers and civil defense firefighters, and they loved it too. The team in Beverabia is really generous and amazing to work with. I'm proud of you and wish you cater to more and more people in this challenging situation. Beautiful. So, can you tell us about Beverabia's journey? What do you do? What are your roles with Beverabia? What is Beverabia all about?
Right. To be honest, as any entrepreneur starts, uh, we started in Saudi Arabia. We found a gap. There was a gap in the market, and we saw an opportunity to start serving capsule-based coffee in Saudi Arabia. We were consuming a lot ourselves, and then we evolved from there. Our journey started almost 4 years back, 4.5 years now, and we have been growing every year since then, doubling every year. Now we have certain cafes in Saudi Arabia. We have a roastery in Saudi Arabia, in Dubai, and then we have recently started our e-commerce portal,
Mhm.
Beverly, which is marketplace. So that's the overall business, and we are mainly into B2B supply. We supply to customers such as Costa, Gloria Jeans, Philly Cafe, and likes of that. Uh,
Right, right.
From our perspective, I handle the business development. I handle the finance part of the business, new product strategies, new market strategies, and Anamika will tell you about what she does.
Yes. So, we have our roles pretty much defined. Vivek looks after the business part and the finance, and I would look after the operations and dealing with the suppliers, the customers, then looking after the staff. So where people management is a very important part of the company as well, because you need to keep your your employees, be there few of
Mhm.
them or more than you have to manage them, you have to take care of them, and
Mhm.
we work as a team, we share our responsibility. And so in the last 4 years we have grown from we started with a very small product, coffee capsules. Now we have grown into a complete beverage solution provider covering most of the Middle East companies. So that's been our little journey so far.
That's amazing. You've come a long way, both of you, it seems. A very long way instead. Okay, and Mr. Vivek, I'd like to ask you that you started from engineering, then you worked with ST, then you came to MBA. You completed your MBA from Manchester, UK, and then you had ample years of experience in investment banking. So I would want to understand, where do you think has degrees benefited you, or and where do you think has a job experience benefited you, and have they even added to any benefit in the first place?
To be honest, in my journey, whatever I've done it with a great passion, and I think every bit of my journey has helped me in my entrepreneurship role. Be it my engineering, which added a lot of analytical skills in me, which gave me a lot of computer skills. In SC, I learned about certain logistics business and certain technology platforms, which is still helping me. Then in MBA, it gives you an element of different business management skills, such as finance, accounting, HR, marketing. Then in investment banking, you learn about corporate finance, you learn about how to raise funds, you learn about what are the investors looking for. So every
Right.
bit of my journey has been helping me so far. I wouldn't be able to say this particular bit of my journey was more helpful. I've just built on my skills every time. I've taken on a challenge, and it's still happening. For example, when I started the business, I didn't know how to make coffee. I was passionate about coffee, but I didn't know much details about the business of coffee.
Mm.
So
Mm.
I got a barista certificate where I learned how to make coffee, and I got in the finer details of my product. So,
Mm.
what message I can give you from this journey of mine is that no experience is waste. As long as you're doing it from your heart, this will come back to you as a reward in the future. And you just need to take the positives out of your journey, which is going to help you in the future.
Right. And there's a very important point that this is what comes up in the interaction with a lot of people that I meet, especially the students, be it college students or the school students. So all of them, most of them, I won't say all of them, comes up with an idea that business ही तो करना है, we don't need experience, or academics is not important. But there, as my personal professional view is there, that I think, as you also very rightly said, that no experience is ever it never goes in vain. There's always a learning curve with that experience that comes in. So what is your view on that, like where people say, I have my dad's business, I anyway have to go back, so what's the need of me doing the degree or me getting a work experience? So what do you think is really the benefit of work experience and degrees, and what's your suggestion on that bit to our students out there?
See, to me, um, just having a degree doesn't make sense.
Definitely.
What is more important to you is what you're learning in
Hmm.
attaining that degree or in attaining that qualification.
Right.
Uh, what are you able to do with that knowledge? So, for example, in MBA, more than the subjects I was taught in the class, what I learned was in the projects I did during the MBA. I learned about how to deal with the large ticket clients, deal with working in the teams, etc., etc. So for me, degree in itself is not sufficient. You have to have the right attitude. You have to have the ability to learn every day. So what you learn during the degree process is more important than the degree itself. That being said, if you ask me a question in yes and no, is degree the most important thing for starting a business? No, but it definitely helps having some sort of qualification, some sort of education, because that will give you a background on which you can build around your business. Without which it is going to be a little bit challenging unless and until you're very, very confident, very, very motivated, very, very aware of what you are planning to do.
That
Yes.
totally makes sense. I totally agree with that bit. And I would also ask a similar kind of question to Mrs. Hans, that you also came from an engineering background. And how have you really been managing things in the first place, especially managing people is an art? Honestly speaking, it's not that easy. And the roles of operations, HR. So what do you think that has really helped you understand how to go about managing these things?
Absolutely. See, education, right from the schooling to my graduation, has empowered me to, make uh, you not only technical, but to be able to distinguish between, what is right, what is wrong. It does enhance your ability to understand things. Uh, and my engineering degree, especially, empowered me to have technical and logical uh, abilities. So now putting that into my in the current business, it cannot be put in directly, but I had to learn a lot. So starting from the very basics, I build up my knowledge of coffee, of course, coffee and all the other beverages and the machines we are dealing with. Then coming to people management, this is of course had to be learned with experience, and I'm still learning every day, little by little. And there are decisions which are slightly tricky when we are dealing with a lot of shipments coming in from a lot of suppliers. So we have to at certain times make out the best combination of things. So that is where my education comes in quite handy, not the way I had imagined when I was studying. So it can be very different, but if you have studied, it will definitely help you some way or the other.
Totally, totally agree with that. And I think that's where how we've all grown up, that while we are studying so many things, we never realize, we'd always question. Yes, there are certain things which are questionable. I would not deny that. Like there is certain system which I totally do not like, and I would certainly want to change if that was in my hand. But yes, there are also other things, especially I believe soft skills, wherein you don't get to know that they will help in near future, but they do. You eventually get to realize. So
Absolutely.
now this question goes for the both of you. What are some specific personality type or skill sets required in this career? Do you think there's also need of a specific degree? Like again, I don't feel that this question is important, the degree bit. However, specific skill sets, a kind of qualification, and the kind of personality. What would you both think are like the important things in here?
So, yes, the degree will not matter as much as your ambition and your commitment to, to your work. So whatever you have decided, you have to be fully 100% committed to your work, to your passion. Be very passionate about what you're doing and believe in yourself. That is most important. So that is the quality which will take you long through. And if you set up a brand, if you set up a project, you have to endorse it first yourself. Then you would expect others to follow you or like your product. That is very important. Then secondly, you have to be very flexible with your schedule, with your expectations, because your project might not go the way you imagined first or you wanted it to go. So you have to be very flexible, be able to, take plan B if plan A is not working to reach your goal. It could be plan B. If plan B fails, be ready to take plan C. So as long as you are committed, you are willing to do that, there is no stopping. And thirdly, you have to be really, really well sorted on your budget. There, like unlike in a job where you have a salary coming at the end of every month, in a business it is not going to happen. In fact, you will be responsible to pay salary to your employees. So in that case, you have to plan out your budget well, and sometimes you have. Sometimes when you may make a good sale, doesn't mean you have to spend all you are. You have to save and plan ahead for maybe 1 year, 6 months, even 2 years planning. So planning and going step by step is what will really, really be helpful.
In my case, yeah. So I'll just take in my particular case. Yes, MBA did help me because it gave me a holistic perspective of the businesses, and I was able to attain a lot of skills there. That being said, was it the preeminent thing for me to start the business? No. What matters most is your attitude, your ability to evolve with the situation, your ability to learn how you can implement your learning in the business, and you have to be very, very persevere. As Anamika mentioned, when you initially make your plan to run your business, it's never going to be the same, right? So you have to be very adaptable to how the situation is going to evolve and capitalize on every turn of the situation rather than sitting and making excuses on things didn't work out the way you planned initially. Otherwise, it's not going to be successful.
Right, right. I think that's an amazing insight. And what I understand that one thing is that just be persistent. There will be a lot of challenges, a lot of challenges. So you have to be somebody who is adaptable to the situations. You should be developing your coping mechanism. With each coming day, the more resilient you are, the more persistent you are, the more adaptive you are. I think that is what majorly is helping you in your own business. But one thing that I would want you to please give in a very personal viewpoint and a personal example in this bit. A lot of it all boils down to business and the money at the end of the day. It all boils down to the finance at the end of the day. So I need two perspectives on this. One, if I am in a secure job, I am earning pretty well. How how on earth do I sort of give all of that up, and especially while there is a lot of responsibility on me. Let's say I'm a head and I'm taking care of a lot of finances for my family. So one, how do I go about giving all of that up and start my own business? Number one, what will be the major thing over there needed? Number two, yes, I think let's cover up with this question, Mr. Hans, first, and then we'll come down to the second question as to what other areas beside. I'm sure everybody's heard about venture capitalism, venture capital, your angel investors. You've heard about seed funding. So please let us know beyond these areas how you've gone with the investments, with the funding, with the finances. So we need a very broad view and a very personal example on this bit.
Right. I think you asked me a list of questions in one question.
I'm sure. Sorry for
Yeah,
that, but yes, if you could take up all of them.
that's okay. Let me answer the first one where you talk about when you are working in a job and how do you take a financial call whether the business is for you or not. So there are two parts to that question. One is the philosophical one, and one is a practical one. Philosophical one says, you know what, if you're not satisfied, just quit. But that's not practical actually in these days, because there's a lot of social pressure on you to carry on certain obligations, which you won't be able to do that. Certainly in our case, we were not able to carry a lot of social obligations, which we were doing during the job time. So in my particular case, what we did was we buffered up certain funds for our little venture before we really took a call to get in the business. When we were comfortable that we can survive for a certain period, and we did our financial analysis as to when the financial results of the business can be positive. Based on that, we made a judgment call. Now, to answer the second part of your question, how you go about raising the funds from the angel investors and the seed investors and private equity, venture capital, etc. So it's a very very broad question, which I'm sure it need a separate session in altogether. But just to summarize, first of all, you have to have a broad idea of what you are doing. You have to do a proof of concept yourself, and then you need to implement it. You need to then test the waters. If you're still in the job, you're lucky you can spend the money that you're earning in the job to test the waters. And then if you are confident enough, if you have done the proof of concept, then you can go about investing more money behind this particular business and leave the job to join the particular venture, and then go about raising the funds from the seed capital, friends and families, venture capital. So there are steps involved in that. At every level of the business, you need a different kind of investor. So for example, initially, you won't be able to see any institution or any venture capital or any large ticket investors coming to your way. So you will have to rely on private investors, be it friends, families, etc. Then the next level, that doesn't mean that you go to your family itself, but you have to have a proper business concept, proper proof of the business that is going to function and produce results. Then once you've seen some results, then you start approaching the venture capitalist or certain large financial institutions where you can go about raising the funds and the bank loans, etc. So there is a stage process during this. In our situation, we are now in an institutional stage. We've crossed the first few barriers ourselves. Now we're in an institutional because we become bankable owing to the size of the organization, etc.
Right.
But everyone has to go through the this series of negotiations and discussions through various stages.
Right. So would you be comfortable answering this question as to what was your way of, getting the investments in the first place? How did you begin with all of it? Was it seed funding? Was it friends? Was it support? How did you begin with it?
See, when we initially started, I started with my own funds. Owing to the investment banking job, you need enough money
Totally,
to be
yeah.
able to fund your living and your product venture.
Mm.
Then initially, when the first proof of concept started delivering results, we started diluting a little bit. We got in friends and families on board. One or two friends, I mean, not a significant number. And then we expanded our operations a little bit. And then we started getting help from the institutions, such as financial institutions. Now we're in the third stage where we're looking at larger private equity or venture capital stage.
Right. So I think that makes the point very clear that how beautifully everything plays a role here. Like even if you think something as simple as networking, which a lot
Yeah.
of us miss out on, that we don't care who does need networking, this, that, we won't reach out. But that's what I think one of the major elements which has worked here, if we see it from that perspective. And of course the hard work, the whole investment banking job as well is also catered pretty much to your dreams, I believe.
Absolutely. And networking is the most important element of it.
Very important, very important.
Because you need
All of
to
you,
introduce
yes,
to
yes.
everyone. Yeah, absolutely.
Right away, go ahead and make your LinkedIn accounts without giving it a second thought. Just a suggestion. I think this is for every woman entrepreneur. There, either somebody who's already an entrepreneur or somebody who is yet to become an entrepreneur. So let's say I've also started my own thing, but I don't have much of a family responsibility or anything in hand, so I can totally just simply focus on my own thing. But with you, especially when you are married, when you have kids, when you have family responsibility, and simultaneously managing business, uh, I don't know how to put it across, but I feel that it becomes too much to have on one's plate. So, how have you been dealing with this so far?
It has been challenging. I will not deny it. It
Mhm.
has been challenging, but it's totally doable.
Okay.
It's just need to schedule yourself,
Mhm.
and what has really worked for me is keeping everybody in the family in the loop. So my kids, of course, my husband, to keep them in the loop, they have to be aware of what I am doing at what stage and what is expected of me in my work. So, as far as they are aware, they are all willing to support. And I believe in today's world, for us women, it is not as difficult as it would have been 2 generations back. We are really blessed to have families who are very supportive. The society is very supportive. It is not, it is not looked down for a girl or a woman to work or have a business, be independent. So it is all positive in our favor. Yes, it is hard work. Absolutely, you have to, work out of your comfort zone. Sometimes you have to work late in the night to manage the work. And now technology helps us to be able to carry on our work even if we are not in the office. So as long as you're willing to do, it's all possible and doable with the family, with the kids. So there's no reason why having a family or having kids to stop you from following your dreams or reaching your goals.
I think every woman entrepreneur, either if they are willing to be one or they are either successfully growing in their jobs, we all should listen to that bit. It's very important that one, balancing out is the technique, is what I'm understanding. And two, yes, you rightly said that society, culture, and families have changed that way, that if they've become very accepting of the fact that women are also growing equally. However, I'd certainly take the credit for all of us, for all the women out there, all the girls out there, the young girls out there, that women are certainly believed to have this multitasking trait. So
Absolutely.
I think you really have that potential, each one of you. For some of you, it must be hidden. For some of you, it must be out there. All you need to do is just maybe just go ahead and unleash that potential, which is very important. So thank you, Mrs. Hans, for putting it that point in a very beautiful manner. Mr. Vivek, what are your tips and message for all the young and budding entrepreneurs out there?
Okay.
We
It's the
have both
most,
the college students and the school students, so let us divide this answer for the both of them.
yeah. I think the first thing I would like to say is never stop having dreams. You should always have a vision and a dream. That doesn't mean that you don't work to achieve the dreams. You have to work very, very, very hard to achieve the dream and the vision. Um, that's a broad aspect of it. But if you want to start your own business, if you want to be an entrepreneur, you have to identify gaps in the market. You have to see if uh, something that you have in mind exists or doesn't exist. If it exists, in what form, way, shape? Can you bring a new proposition to the market? Would it be acceptable to the market, or would it change the dynamics in the market? It can be a product, or it can be a service, and then you package that whole situation into a business model. You need to lay out your questions into a financial model, because at the end of the day, uh, the numbers talk. So you need to be able to translate your vision and dream and the gaps you identified in the market onto a piece of paper, and then probably an Excel sheet. If you are not comfortable in Excel sheet, I think it's a preeminent thing for you to be an entrepreneur. You have to be very comfortable with the numbers. If you're not good in numbers, then you have to develop that skills. So once you've done all these exercises, then you need to test the water. You need to see how you can take your business to the next level. and then lay out everything in a proper business plan with the numbers, then you can only approach the investors. In the first stage, you can only approach private investors or individuals before going to a private equity or a venture capital straight away, because they're going to ask you very, very challenging questions, and if you're not prepared, then you are going to be disappointed. You don't want to be disappointed in your business model. What you need is, you need to prepare yourself very, very well, so that when you present your business, everyone is looking at you in a positive state and willing to help you.
Right, right. That's an amazing tips that you've given. And what is your message, Mrs. Hans, for all the women entrepreneurs out there? Like, could you also quote your personal and professional experience, and why or which, if you could tell them that this is what you should be doing or should not be doing?
Absolutely. First of all, we have to believe in ourselves that we are capable of doing anything which is there along with men. It is it shouldn't, having a family or being a woman shouldn't stop you from dreaming big. So go for your dreams and keep your targets realistic. That I would really say. Keep realistic targets one at a time, and then go for them. Sometimes you have to adjust with the timings, with the situation. But as long as you have your target in mind and you're willing to work for it, success is definitely possible.
How can young and flourishing entrepreneurs like us, so technically the ones who are in the school and even in college, can reach out to peers regarding their business ideas?
Right. To be honest, just having a business idea is not enough. As I
Mhm.
mentioned in my previous answer, you have to translate your business idea onto some sort of paper, some sort of proof of concept, some sort of financial model, and you have to deliver that proof of concept before you can reach the private equity. Because I mean, it all sounds very fancy approaching a private equity with a business idea, but if you're not able to demonstrate your business idea, it adds no value whatsoever. So first, you have to be able to put it out on the business plan, put it out on the financial model, and then you need to see if it makes sense or not, if it's really addressing an issue in the market, if it's really addressing or adding value to the market. Uh, if it does make sense, then of course you can start approaching. Initial stage would be for the seed funding and venture capital, then the private equity. This is how the sequence works. For the seed capital, there are ample forums these days. There are a lot of seed funding available in, on online forums, especially for the technology companies, especially for new sort of product ideas. So there are ample number of people willing to invest, be it crowdfunding, be it small VCs targeting the new technology platforms. But as long as you have a proper understanding of what you're doing, it shouldn't be very difficult to approach a person who will take you seriously.
Right, right. That makes a lot of sense. So I'm sure a lot of us keep dreaming about a lot of ideas here and there, but as both of them pointed out in the beginning, it's all there's a one is a philosophical approach and one is a very practical approach. So you need to see where you're heading with that idea. Is it even something that can be tried out? Do a lot of research. Do a lot of research. If already a lot of people are doing it, what is the USP that you're bringing in? So we have one more question from one of the students. Was it difficult to process the idea of starting your own venture while you were on the job?
Yes, there was a lot of brainstorming involved initially, and we had another product, another concept in mind, which we wanted to do. So it all started with a vague concept and then was slowly built up. And of course, there was a lot of plan thinking about it, and we since Vivek is really good with his numbers. We did a lot of financial planning. We did, working out a number to see if we go for this idea, how sustainable will it be, how the results would come, after how much time the results would come. So in our capacity, we did all the brainstorming, all the financial calculations, and it did evolve after a few I would say, weeks or months. We did a lot of networking, met a few people who were already in the coffee business. Uh, we got in touch with people online, so and did a lot of research. So it all evolved actually for us in our case.
See, to be honest, when you lay out your business plan, it doesn't necessarily mean it will work out that way, right? In our case, in particular, it didn't work out as we initially planned. But that doesn't mean you can stop researching because the business is continuously evolving. Like, for example, who knew how Corona would impact the world? And suddenly the e-commerce has picked up like 800% here in the local market. So you have to be very, very adaptable at all the stages. That doesn't mean you stop thinking about or researching about the product or the venture you're getting into. So you have to be very thorough because that will help you, adapt to any situation that comes in your way.
Right. And a lot of students have asked this question that, especially with respect to these are two main questions that have been coming up even via the form and even via this chat platform. Number one, that if I am in a job and I sort of really want to start with the business, but then there's not enough funds. So one, how do you still try and understand that you can go ahead with doing that particular business? I think first take up that question and then we'll jump onto the next one. Like in this case, let's say we do not have literally any resource out there, so what do we do in that case?
It's a very difficult question. It
Mhm.
depends on how strongly you believe you can really go through this particular business plan. So first of all, you have to lay out your business plan on financial sheet, Excel, or any product that you're comfortable with, and then you have to be very much convinced that this product is going to, or this project or this venture is going to bring you the results that you're expecting. If you don't have the funds, I would not recommend leaving the job straight away. Test the water, as I mentioned. Usually, do the proof of concept, prove that it works on a smaller scale, and then approach certain private investors, maybe friends, families, etc., who are willing to take a small equity in your business to be able to fund your business. So this is the approach I would take rather than jumping in straight away.
Right. Were you people honestly scared to begin with the business? Like after how everything was going smoothly, were you people pretty scared that what if there's a downfall that comes? What if? So irrespective of the fact you plan out so many things, so many analysis, too much of logics, everything in picture, yet you never know where does the things go all haywire. So were you
Absolutely.
people skeptical about that in the beginning?
See, we had been thinking about our venture for quite some time. So, to answer your question, were you scared? Yes. Were you too scared not to take the jump? No, because we did take the jump, right? So, of course, there were challenges. Of course, we had to lay out our plans. And in fact, for the first 6 months, things really were very challenging. And they're still challenging. I mean, you get to come across a challenge every single day. But that doesn't mean you stop progressing on your career path. What
Right.
we did, we started adapting to every situation that came our way. But to answer your question, yes, it was a difficult call, but we were very convinced about what we were going to do.
Right, that might makes a lot of sense. And one last question that has again very commonly come up, and which says that okay, if we have an idea, so how do we sort of understand, or how do we understand that how it's really going to work in the market? Let's say I have my idea, I have my plan, I have my
Mhm.
Excel sheet sorted out, I have done my research, everything's there. Yet, is there any way to try out it in the market?
See, it solely depends on the kind of idea you has. If you have sorted out your financials, I mean, in terms of projections, if you sorted out in terms of your business plan, etc., then you need to lay out what sort of capital it requires. Would I be able to fund that capital? Can I scale that to a bare minimum level? Can I survive without earning anything? Do the sensitivity analysis. I mean, it's easier for a banker to do, but for a normal entrepreneur, assume your earnings are all wrong. So do a sensitivity analysis and then make an assessment. Are you able to survive without any earning for a specific period? Are you able to? Because if it's a good scenario, then of course you have nothing to worry. There'll be investors coming after you. But if it's a bad scenario, you have to prepare for worse.
Right, makes a lot of sense. I think by paraphrasing it in every sense, I've asked you this question and you've answered it in every possible form. So thank you so much. Now that the both of you have had exposure in UK, India, and Dubai, so what are your ideas on? And I'm sure that since you started business in Dubai, so you must be knowing more about Dubai. But because you have friends and family in UK and India as well, so what do you think is the difference in the are the differences in these three different countries? Any major difference that you could be able to point out?
See, personally, we think Dubai has given us a lot in terms of the ability to start a business.
Mm.
Uh, of course, there are challenges from business perspective, and that these challenges are there everywhere. But it's a very free country in terms of starting your own venture, how to go about the business. The government authorities are very friendly, so it's very very easy to set up a business in Dubai, and that is why we chose to be in Dubai because for personal reasons, I mean the education system for the kids, and Anamika can run the business in Dubai. So I am majorly looking after the Saudi business. Anamika handles Dubai, so maybe she can also answer how she finds it different between Dubai and the UK.
Yes, absolutely. So for UK, I might not be able to comment a lot on how the businesses work because we did not do a business there. We were in a job. And for Dubai, definitely it is very easy to set up your company, to be able to get your licenses, to deal with the government departments, although they are Arabic, and people think they are difficult to they're difficult to for a woman to approach, which is in turn the adverse way. Actually, they are very very supportive, very friendly. It is very easy to get any job done, and it has been an amazing experience for me. Very learning. The technology in the Middle East is up to date. So if I'm working on any business, and on any government platform, I can do everything online. I don't have to visit the office and not spend my time going there getting my job done. If I have to do anything, I can do most of the part of the job online. So in that ways, Middle East has been a very it's been a rewarding experience to set up a business here. And I'm sure with in India it shouldn't be difficult for as we know, there are some issues with support from the government authorities and issues, but as long as you're determined, you are willing to do, you can get help. And this is where your networking, talking to people will come very handy. So you talk to people who are already there, find out from their experiences, and then you go ahead.
Certainly. So, Mrs. Hans is someone who's very organized, very structured in approach as far as all the licenses are concerned, dealing with the government institutions are concerned. Just he's been doing that pretty well till date. And as an entrepreneur, you require investors as well as customers, and you need to attract and win attention of both of them. So my question is, how is it possible to attract their attention, especially in today's world, uh, where the market is already pretty flooded, exactly, where there's already so much of competition?
So again, as I previously mentioned, I mean, even though the market is full of competition, you need to identify. You need to be able to identify what is your niche. What are the value propositions you can bring to the market, right? So I mean, for example, in our case, the coffee market is fairly crowded. How are you able to distinguish yourself? How are you able to add value? How service oriented you are? How good your product is. So at the end of the day, your ability to market your product, ability to make something which is unique, present something which is unique, is what matters. That said, your profitability margins, etc., are going to be diminished if the market is very competitive. So that being said, I go back to my previous point. You have to be able to identify where are the gaps in the market, because if you want to grow and grow quickly, the, you should be addressing some sort of problem or a situation that is existing in the market which no one has addressed.
Right. Who's the strict one? Who's the strict one? How do? Oh, I'm sure you would point out. What about you, Mrs. Hans? Do you agree to that?
Yeah, yes, I
Okay,
agree.
all right. Does the same strictness goes with Mr. Hans as well?
That's why I traveled to Saudi Arabia to get away from.
Right, right. Okay, so for people who are about to become couple entrepreneurs, you also have certain tips to take from here now. Right. And how this we've got from Resham Bajaj. She has asked this question to you, Mr. Hans, that since you've been, I think this is one question that both of you can, in fact, answer. So both of you have been in corporates and entrepreneurship. So what is one difference that you find in both the things, and what do you find more intriguing?
See, the major difference is, the flexibility with which you can do your work.
Mhm.
Uh, you are with your business, you are not time bound, although you have to be working all the time in your business. There is no, initially, when you set up a venture, there is no weekend, there is no holiday, because there is so much to be done if you're really, really into it. So, and with the corporate culture, you have the 2 day weekend. We still don't have the 2 day weekend. We do the 1 day weekend here in for our company. So
Right.
that is one major difference. And then here, of course, we have to do a lot more planning financially than would have been done in a job, because here we have to uh, there is no paycheck confirmed till the end of the month unless your company is doing well, unless you're in the green. So in that ways, there is a major difference in how you run your company, and how much flexibility of work you have. Like that.
Right.
See, work-wise, I think when I was in the UK, we used to slog a lot of hours there. So I was used to working extended hours. Although Saudi Arabia was, I mean, the stint in Saudi Arabia was much more relaxed. And this is how the banking is there. So, as Anamika said, you have to be 24/7. When you're in business, you have to be 24/7. You cannot say, or you cannot close your eyes even for a second. Uh, that doesn't mean you cannot enjoy this. You can actually enjoy. This is the best part of it. You enjoy doing it rather than doing it for someone else. When you're doing it for yourself and you're passionate about what you're doing, you love what you're doing, you will have all the fun in the journey. So this is a major difference in corporate. Although I'm not saying, and I will not deny, I did enjoy my investment banking stint. There were a lot of pros and cons, in the sense, you had certain luxuries that you can only get there, uh, but having your own business is like a dream.
Exactly, that's very true, very true. And I can also say that from the personal experience. So, because having your own journey, having your own business is like a dream, I am a very firm believer of the fact that, irrespective of whatever background you are coming from, as simple as having psychology as a background, as a qualification, I ever since my childhood, I remember having my own thing, my own venture, and either it was genetically induced or it was coming from the blood. But yes, I was always into it. However, I always feel that again, if you're an artist, if you are into food and beverages industry, if you are into any industry, you name the industry, wherever you are coming from, having entrepreneurial skills, having exposure in entrepreneurship, I feel is a must. So even if you are in a business, let's say, you would wonder, why would I need an entrepreneurial skill? So you should definitely know how to brand yourself, how to have a set image for yourself. Yeah, so in case you want to understand how a startup culture works, in case you want to understand what entrepreneurship really looks like, I feel that there's no other way until unless you really give it a shot via your internships. or via your, if you go to, probably just join an incubation center. So I know of a lot of people or a lot of incubation centers where they are offering a lot of internships, so you can go ahead and definitely join in. Now we take up very last question. Mr. Hans, money profit is something everyone looks up in entrepreneurship. What's something that would connect the youth to entrepreneurship apart from wealth that reaches out?
That's a big question. Um, to be honest, you have to have a vision. If you don't have a vision, if you don't have dreams, and that doesn't have to be money oriented. I mean, having a financial target is not a target for me. So you have to have some sort of a dream and a vision in your mind. And when you achieve even a partial dream, that is more satisfying than probably earning anything else. So working towards your dream is more satisfying, as I mentioned, and working towards your goal gives you that feeling of victory as compared to whatever you will do while earning some sort of money anywhere else.
Right. Thank you so much. Mrs. Hans, any last message for all the people who are attending the webinar right now?
Right. So the message is to always believe in yourself, believe in whatever ideas you have. If you really, really want to go for it, give it your best shot. And there is,
Do your research.
you're there, then do your research, be practical, and you will definitely achieve your goals. All the best.
All right. Thank you so much. It was so amazing have you all having you here.